The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and are not those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. The phone lines are open. Call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. It's time for Stuart Laser Talk with your host, Dr. Tred Rissacher.
I'm 5'10" and 242 pounds.
I always say this is the biggest I'm ever going to be, and I said that like 20 pounds ago.
A third of Americans are obese, another third is overweight.
Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country.
I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes.
Sleep apnea, heart disease.
Everything's hurting now.
It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
This is probably going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese.
It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac.
I want to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority, we are all going to pay a really serious price.
Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
At the beginning of civilization, there were three evil men who had discovered the secret to health. They wanted to ensure that when the people needed to know how to be healthy, that they would be able to profit from their newfound knowledge. So they devised a plan. The first man said, "I will hide the secret to health in the tallest mountain to ensure they won't find it." The second man said, No. Someday they will explore all the mountains and find our secret. I think it would be better to sink the secret to health at the bottom of the deepest ocean. Then we can be sure no one would ever be able to find it there. The third man, who was more devious than the others, said, "I know a place where they will never look for the secret to health. I'll take a little piece of the secret, put it inside of each and every person. Then our secret will be safe, because they will never think of looking there." So that is what they did. My name is Dr. Tred Rissacher, and you're listening to the Slim Body Laser Spa's Health and Wellness Show. And I want you to know that I read this to you because it really has a lot of meaning, especially what's happening today. That the secret to health is within each one of you. But for some reason, you have been fooled to think it is outside of yourself. Something you have to buy, a plan you must belong to, something you need to have explained to you for a fee, something to keep you dependent on something outside of your own body's ability to heal itself. It is my mission and sometimes my burden for over 30 years to teach and expose this lie. The truth be told that your body's ability to heal is far greater than anyone has allowed you to believe. This has never been more true than today. I want to thank you for tuning into my show today. We're celebrating, close to 9 years here on WSTU. I can be heard here on WSTU 1450 every Tuesday morning about 9:05 to right up at 10 o'clock. I can also be reached at private consultation at my Stuart office. That's Dr. Tred's Slim Body Laser Spa, 2311 Southeast Ocean Boulevard in Stuart. My phone number is 772-223-5885. I'm also available online at www.slimbodylaserspa.com, or you can email me at slimbodylaserspa@gmail.com. All right, so what are we at? And I don't know the exact, depends on what state you live in, but I guess we're at day 72 or 73 to the lockdown. This incredible push of authority to lock down our country over this COVID-19. And I'm not happy about it. And I don't think you should be either. So my mom, Tred Rissacher, who worked a super person. She passed away about 4 years ago. And when I was a teenager and I went to Martin County High School, I graduated, and my mom had this horrible fear of public speaking, of being in public and having to speak. And she knew in order to conquer her fears, you have to kind of walk through it. And she joined the Dale Carnegie courses, which were being held here. And I remember it was at the Stuart Middle School, right across from the three-wall racquetball courts. They had it in a classroom, and she went through the Dale Carnegie instruction on public speaking, and she really, really helped her a lot. And she became a graduate instructor over there. And when you're a graduate instructor, you get to bring your family in. And she brought me into that first Dale Carnegie course, God, back in probably 81, 82. And I don't have a problem with public speaking. But there was a book that they gave you when you came through it. It was How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Now, this book was written in the 40s or 50s. It was by Dale Carnegie. And it was a very, I've had it for years. And now it's available on audiobook. Now, it is 9 hours of some of the most best examples of how men and women have conquered worry. Worry this, worry that. And I can tell you this, as a doctor, when you worry, your immune system shuts down, your digestive shuts down, your ability to repair tissue shuts down. Excessive worry becomes all-consuming, and it makes us very, very sick. There isn't a doctor in the world, whether you believe in chiropractic, allopathic medicine, you believe in yoga, who doesn't know the effects of worry. It is a habit. It's a nasty habit that we all seem to experience, some more than others. And what Dale Carnegie did in his book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, it's a very interesting story, and I highly, it's free on YouTube. You can download the the audiobook, and man, I listen to that 4 or 5 times a week. I really enjoyed the stories in it. And what he did was he was trying to help people with public speaking. And one of the ways that he did the public speaking was that he had the people would get up and then they would give us public talk on how they combated worry. Now, he looked at worry as a real problem in people's health. And when he went to the libraries and he went to see any books about worry, there was really nothing on the topic of worry. Yet it is one of the number one sources of why we're sick as humans, because we can worry about things. Animals don't worry. We worry. And that worrying becomes, just look around. Look what's happening in this last 70 days, 72 days of this lockup. There's a lot of worry going on. There's a lot of fear. And maybe it isn't all justified, but it's real. The worry is real, and the fear is real, and so are the health problems that come from it. And I'm here to teach you, you can combat, you can overcome worry. So, with that said, I am going to go over, I was listening to my Dale Carnegie, and I was able to transcribe his one chapter called Chapter 3 on how you can break the worry habit. So this is actually from his own book. This is not my thing, but I'm gonna do my best to relate exactly some of these stories in here. Now, if you're someone who's listened to Dale Carnegie in the past, this will be very familiar to you. This was written in the 50s and the 40s. So some of these things here had to be changed. Like they said that 1 person out of every 10 dies of cancer back in the 40s. Today it's 1 out of every 3. So we had to change that. But the stories and what they say make a lot of sense here. Now, I'll summarize this next 2 pages to tell you that there's something called the law of averages. And when you worry about something happening, and it becomes a worry and it becomes a fear, and it can consume us. You know, when you compare it to common sense and reason, which is using the law of averages that this might happen, you realize how foolish many of the things are that we're worrying about. So here's his story. So, Chapter 8, and this is Dale Carnegie's own voice. As a child, he grew up in a Missouri farm, and one day while helping his mother pit cherries, Dale began to cry. His mother said, "Dale, what in the world are you crying about?" And he blubbered, "I'm afraid I'm going to be buried alive." I was full of worries in those days. When thunderstorms came, I worried for fear I would be killed by lightning. When hard times came, I worried for fear we wouldn't have enough to eat. I worried for fear I would go to hell when I died. I was terrified for fear of an older boy, Sam, White, would cut off my big ears as he threatened to do. I worried for fear girls would laugh at me if I tipped my hat to them. I worried for fear that no girl would ever be willing to marry me. I worried about what would I say to my wife immediately after we were married. I imagined that we would be married in some country church and then get in a surrey with the fringe on top, ride back to the farm, but how would I be able to keep the conversation going on that ride back to the farm? Oh, how I pondered over that earth-shaking problem for many an hour as I walked behind the plow. And as the years went by, I gradually discovered that 99% of the things I worried about never happened. As an example, as I've already said, I was once terrified of lightning, but I know now that the chances of me being killed by lightning in any 1 year are, according to the National Safety Council, only 1 in 350,000. My fear of being buried alive was even more absurd. I don't imagine that even back in the days before embalming was the rule, that 1 person in 10 million was buried alive, yet I once cried for fear of it. 1 person out of every 3 dies of cancer. If I had wanted something to worry about, I should have worried about cancer instead of being killed by lightning or being buried alive. Now, to be sure, I've been talking about the worries of youth and adolescence, but many of our adult worries are almost as absurd. You and I could probably eliminate 9 out of 10 of our worries right now if we cease fretting long enough to discover whether by the law of averages there's any real justification for our worries. The most famous insurance company on earth, Lloyd's of London, has made countless millions of dollars out of the tendency of everybody to worry about things that rarely happen. Lloyd's of London bets people that the disasters they're worrying about will never occur. However, they don't call it betting, they call it insurance. But it is really betting based on the law of averages. This great insurance firm has been going strong for over 200 years. And unless human nature changes, it will still be going strong 50 centuries from now by ensuring that shoes and ships and sealing wax against disasters that by the law of averages don't happen nearly as often as people imagine. If we examine the law of averages, we will often be astounded at the facts we uncover. For example, if I knew that during the next 5 years I would have to fight in the battle as bloody as the Battle of Gettysburg, I would be terrified. I would take out all the life insurance I could. I would draw up my will and set all my earthly affairs in order. A person would say to themselves, I'll probably never live through that battle, so I'd better make the most of the years I have left. We need to get the facts. And the facts are that according to the law of averages, it is just as dangerous, just as fatal to try to live from age 50 to age 55 in peacetime as it was to fight in the Battle of Gettysburg. What I'm trying to say is this. In times of peace, just as many people die per 1,000 between the ages of 50 and 55 as were killed per 1,000 among the 163,000 soldiers who fought at Gettysburg. Now, as he wrote several chapters of this book at James Simpson's Numb Tiger Lodge on the shores of Bow Lake in the Canadian Rockies, if you remember where that is, while stopping there one summer, Dale Carnegie met Mr. and Mrs. Herbert H. Salinger of San Francisco. Mrs. Salinger, a poised, serene woman, gave me the impression that she had never, ever worried. One evening in front of the fireplace, I asked her if she had ever been troubled by worry. Troubled by it, she said. My life was almost ruined by it before I learned to conquer worry. Here's her own words. I lived through 11 years of self-made hell. I was irritable and hot-tempered. I lived under terrific tension. I would take the bus every week from my home in San Mateo to shop in San Francisco, but even while shopping, I worried myself into a dither that maybe I'd left the electric iron connected on the ironing board, or that maybe the house had caught fire, or maybe the maid had run off and left the children alone, or maybe they had been out on their bicycles and had been killed by a car. In the midst of my shopping, I would often worry myself into a cold perspiration and rush out and take the bus home to see if everything was all right. No wonder my first marriage ended in disaster. My second husband is a lawyer, a quiet, analytical man who never worries about anything. When I became tense and anxious, he would say to me, "Relax. Let's think this thing out. What are you really worrying about? Let's examine the law of averages and see whether or not it is likely to happen." For example, I remember the time we were driving from Albuquerque, New Mexico to the Carlsbad Caverns, driving on a dirt road when we were caught in a terrible rainstorm. The car was slithering and sliding. We couldn't control it. I was positive we would slide off into one of the ditches that flanked the road, but my husband kept repeating to me, "I am driving very slowly. Nothing serious is likely to happen. Even if the car does slide into the ditch, by the law of averages, we won't be hurt." His calmness and confidence quieted me one summer. We were on a camping trip in the valley of the Canadian Rockies. One night we were camping 7,000 feet above sea level when a storm threatened to tear our tent to shreds. The tents were tied with guide ropes to a wooden platform. The outer tent shook and trembled and screamed and shrieked in the strong winds. I expected any minute to see our tent torn loose and hurled through the sky. I was terrified. But my husband kept saying, "Look, my dear, we're traveling with Brewster's guides. Brewsters know what they're doing. They've been pitching tents in these mountains for 60 years. This tent has been here for many seasons. It hasn't blown down yet, and by the law of averages, it won't blow away tonight. And even if it does, we can take shelter in another tent, so relax." I did, and I slept soundly the balance of the night. A few years ago, an infantile paralysis epidemic swept over our part of California. In the old days, I would have been hysterical, but my husband persuaded me to act calmly. Now, we took all the precautions we could. We kept our children away from crowds, away from school and the movies. By consulting the Board of Health, we found out that even during the worst infantile paralysis epidemic that California had ever known up until that time, only 1,835 children had been stricken. And in the entire state of California, the usual number was around 200 or only 300. As tragic as those figures are, we nevertheless felt that according to the law of averages, the chances of any one child being stricken were remote. By the law of averages, it just won't happen. That phrase, according to the law of averages, has destroyed 90% of my worries and has made the past 20 years of my life beautiful and peaceful beyond my highest expectations. So, it has been said that nearly all of our worries and unhappiness come from our imagination and not from reality. And as I look back across the decades, I can see that that is where most of my worries came from. So, at one of his talks, Dale Carnegie met with a man named Jim Grant. And Jim Grant told him that that had been his experience also. Now, Jim Grant owned the James A. Grant Distributing Company of New York City. He ordered from 10 to 15 carloads of Florida oranges and grapefruit at a time. He told me that he used to torture himself with such thoughts as if, what if there's a train wreck? What if my fruit is strewn all over the countryside? What if a bridge collapses as my cars are going over it? Of course, the fruit was insured, but he feared that if he didn't deliver his fruit on time, he might risk the loss of his market. He worried so much that he feared he had stomach ulcers and went to a doctor. The doctor told him there was nothing wrong with him except jumpy nerves. I saw the light, he said, and I began to ask myself questions. Look here, Jim Grant. How many fruit cars have you handled over the years? And the answer was about 25,000. Then I asked myself, how many of those cars were ever wrecked? The answer was maybe 5. Then I said to myself, only 5 out of 25,000? Do you know that means a ratio of 5,000 to 1? In other words, by the law of averages based on experience, the chances are 5,000 to 1 against one of your cars ever being wrecked. So what are you worried about? And then I said to myself, well, a bridge may collapse. Then I asked myself, how many cars have you actually lost from a bridge collapsing? The answer was none. Then I said to myself, aren't you a fool to be worrying yourself into stomach ulcers over a bridge which has never yet collapsed and over a railroad wreck when the chances are 5,001 against it? When I looked at it that way, Jim Grant said, I felt pretty silly. So I decided then and there to let the law of averages do the worrying for me, and I've not been troubled with my stomach ulcers since. Here's another example. Al Smith. Now, Al Smith was before my time, but he was the governor of New York. This guy, I think he was reelected like 3 times. When Al Smith was governor of New York, I heard him answer the attacks of his political enemies by saying over and over again, let's examine the record. Let's examine the record. And he proceeded to give the facts. The next time you and I are worrying about what may happen, let's take a tip from wise old Al Smith. Let's examine the record and see what basis there is, if any, for our annoying anxieties. That is precisely what Frederick J. Monser did when he feared he was lying in his grave. Here's his story as he told it to one of our classes in New York early in June of 1944. It's his own words. I was lying in a slit trench near Omaha Beach. I was with the 99th Signal Service Company. We just dug in Normandy. And as I looked at that slit trench, just a rectangular hole in the ground, I said to myself, this looks just like a grave. When I laid down and tried to sleep in it, it felt like a grave. I couldn't help saying to myself, maybe this is my grave. When the German bombers began coming over at 11 p.m. and the bombs started falling, I was scared stiff for the first 2 or 3 nights. I couldn't sleep at all. By the 4th or 5th night, I was almost a nervous wreck. And I knew that if I didn't do something, I would go absolute crazy. So I reminded myself that 5 nights had passed and I was still alive, and so was every man in our outfit. Only 2 had been injured, and they had been hurt not by the German bombs, but by falling flak from our own anti-aircraft guns. I decided to stop worrying by doing something constructive. So I built a thick wooden roof over my slit trench to protect myself from flak. I told myself that the only way I could be killed in that deep, narrow slit trench was by a direct hit, and I figured out that the chance of a direct hit on me was not 1 in 10,000. After a couple of nights looking at it this way, I was able to calm down and sleep even through the bomb raids. Now, the United States Navy uses the statistics of the law of averages to help boost the morale of their men. One ex-sailor told me that when he and his shipmates in World War II, which is going across the Atlantic Ocean, were assigned to high-octane tankers, they were worried stiff. They all believed that if a tanker loaded with high-octane gasoline was hit by a torpedo, it exploded and blew everybody to kingdom come. But the U.S. Navy knew otherwise. So the Navy issued exact figures showing that out of the 100 tankers hit by torpedoes, 60 of them stayed afloat. And of the 40 that sunk, only 5 sank in less than 10 minutes, meaning that there was time to get off the ship. It also meant that casualties were exceedingly small. Did this help morale? Well, you bet it did, said Clyde W. Moss of St. Paul, Minnesota. The man who told the story said the whole crew felt better when we knew we had a chance, and that by the law of averages we probably wouldn't be killed. To break the worry habit before it breaks you, here's rule number 3. Let's examine the record. Let's ask ourselves, what are the chances according to the law of averages that this event I am worrying about will ever occur? Yeah, think about that. You're listening to this, and we're all concerned about COVID, no doubt. But what are the statistics? What are the risks? Truthfully, the law of averages. This was a week ago. Now there is 19 million people that live in the state of Florida. 19 million. We've had 40,000 confirmed cases about it. This was like a week ago. I'm sorry, I don't have the updated number, but it's not that much higher. And from that number, there was 1,735 deaths. And, I don't know what the law of average is, but the last I had read, it's down to 0.003%. The chances of you getting this, according to the law of averages, is very, very small. So remember that. And the other part about this is you need to mitigate the risk. Just like the man that, he saw that the bomb wasn't what were killing people. It was flak coming from from our own anti-aircraft guns. So he built a stout wooden cover over his trench, his slit trench, to protect him from that, because that was a more reasonable thing. And it's the same thing goes with any of this. This COVID isn't rare. It's not the only thing that's ever befalled us as humans. I mean, there's hepatitis, there's tuberculosis, there's infectious disease, there's parasites, there's worms, there's all kinds of different situations that can occur. Yet we do things to protect ourselves from those situations. And don't live in fear over this. Put yourself in a better physical condition, because I'll tell you, one of the number one sources of why people are dying if they do get COVID, and it is something which is becoming really obvious. They're saying that 85% of the people that are dying from this horrible virus are people that have comorbidities. These are people that are over 80 and they have 3 or more health problems at the same time, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, or cholesterol, or asthma, or breathing problems. These are the ones that are at the highest risk. And if you're in that high risk category, you need to take extra precautions to protect yourself from being exposed. And I believe by the law of averages, that 15 and 20-year-old people are not carriers of this, horrible carriers of this problem, that most of them aren't. And then, it's just there's not a lot of data yet about this. But the law of averages, depending on where you are in your life, have a lot to do with the chance of being hurt by this. And you need to look at that, and you need to mitigate and avoid the situations. But don't expect everybody in the whole world to cater to that, because as you can see, we're losing our economy, we're losing our country. It's been absolutely, the fear and the worry is so strong that I'm watching people right in front of me yelling at other people to step away and screaming. It's heartbreaking to see this, and it's over fear and worry. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I hope you understand that this isn't the first time humans have dealt with stuff like this. It won't be the last. So, okay. One of the things that I do at the Slim Body Laser Spa is we have a process, a program that can help you to reduce those comorbidities, okay? Now, you might be in your 40s and you're a bit portly, a little overweight. Maybe your blood sugar is starting to become elevated. The doctor's been warning you about the sweets you're eating. Maybe you're getting some numbness and tingling in your feet. This is affecting at least 50% of the adults in America right now, men and women, as I speak. 50%, that's 5 out of 10. That's a pretty strong risk. That's the law of averages. And that law of average is saying if you're overweight, 10 or 20 pounds, if your diet is terrible because you're eating a lot of sweets, you're not eating the right foods, you're not exercising or you don't exercise regularly, and you're starting to feel, you're in that 40 to 50-year-old point to 60, if you don't do something about it, you're the fool. You're going to be the fool, not somebody else. Because it's time to do something about it. And that's what I'm doing at the Slim Body Laser Spa. It is not a body sculpting center. It is a center that is using a laser to release subcutaneous fat of an infrared device, which when applied to the outer fat, reduces and shrinks and releases those calories. And then we have a program where you do whole body vibration, which is in the office. And it's a machine basically you stand on. So it isn't like you don't have to run the bridge or go to Gold's Gym and sit and sweat next to a bunch of people you don't know or you don't like. And after the whole body vibration, then you're given a supplement to help to get rid of some of the toxins in your body, because poisons are part of what knock your immune system down. We're absorbing persistent organic poisons, and that's in the form of petroleum. That's in the plastics we're putting in our foods, the fragrances, the preservatives, the car exhaust. All of this stuff is going into your bloodstream, and it's collecting in your fatty tissue. It makes us sick, yet nobody is really addressing it. They're just treating you when you're sick. They're going to help you when you have the diabetes. They're not going to do much other than give you a handout to prevent it. And so after with the detoxification supplements, while you're going through the laser and the whole body vibration, you start to feel better. You start to have more energy. You start to lose body fat, and we can prove it with testing. And at the same time, we start confronting nutrition. Nutrition is really basically simple. I watched a show, and she was it was this COVID. Hey, we're all home. Let's talk about how we can eat better. Everything that she did was carbohydrate. From going to get a pizza, the pizza dough, flattening it out on a board. She calls it a cheese board, and then putting cheeses and snacks and stuff, and then baking it. And then bringing that outside and giving that to your family. It's not a great idea. What was the other one? Take a bag of chips, potato chips, full of fat, polyunsaturated fats, no nutrition in it at all. And then taking the herbs from your garden, thyme and tarragon, and sprinkling it on top of it, putting some cheese on it, baking it. And what a wonderful snack. Everyone's going to love it. And I'm getting sick as I'm listening to this. And this is mainstream, man. This is what's coming through on the ABC News. They had this, Memorial Day programming, and these are what people are suggesting to you, and it's insanity, because those people that always eat that end up with too much body fat. The liver and the pancreas has to work extra hard to detoxify and get rid of all that sugar. Over time, the system breaks down, and then we don't feel like exercising anymore, and then we end up with a comorbidity. A susceptibility to other things. So if you want to not worry, try eating better. And I want to be very clear, you do not have to be perfect today. If you simply decide to drink a little more fresh water and stay away from the flavored drinks, which is a huge part of calories, if you look at the ingredients on what you're eating, that it has no sugar, and it shouldn't have artificial sweeteners either. That is not a substitute. It should be with no sweetener and no artificial sweeteners. That's smart. It should be fresh vegetables, lean proteins with minimal animal fat. Animal fat's okay, but not too much of it. Good, healthy oils, salmon, fish oils. There's a lot of vegetables that have oils too, avocados, olive oils, things like that. And start cleaning up your diet, and then go for a walk after you eat. Even if it's just to walk to the store to get cigarettes. It's better than not walking. Every day that you make those little changes, the next day, your body's going to be a little stronger, a little more resistant, a little better to handle if something was to happen to you, if you were to be exposed to something. This is really where it's trending towards. Either you're moving to being healthier and doing something today to improve your life and your health, or you're moving the other way. And you can't expect the whole world to accommodate you. It's just not fair. It's not just, and you can't afford it. We can't afford it. The country can't afford it. Do you know why third world countries have worse of a problem? Because they don't have the money to treat these people. And the way we're spending money right now, the trillions of dollars that are being printed, $3 trillion was printed in the last 4 weeks. They didn't go out and earn that money. That money didn't come in from work. They went to this, they printed it. So we're going to have to pay that back. And a sick, unhealthy population full of comorbidities is a risk financially and for our future, and also, for national security. And, if the wrong people get into government and they start looking at these types of things, they're going to start identifying people that have health problems as risks. And I know it sounds outrageous, incredibly cold, but, this is what happens when people run out of money in countries. And, we might not run out of money in your and my lifetime, but you look at my nephews and those kids, and they got another 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now, and that debt has to be paid. God help us. And they're going to start looking at people and saying, hey, you didn't take care of your health. Why should we pay for it? I think that's kind of what's happening today, actually. So, listen, I'm in on East Ocean Boulevard. It's called the Slim Body Laser Spa. It's laser-assisted weight loss. It's a program that will give you a better possibility of overcoming weight, nutrition, detoxification, and also making better habits so you can start trending in a more positive way instead of just going off into the woods somewhere and dying. I mean, that's what you do if you're a Native American. They don't have any much care for people as they get older. When they can't support the tribe, they can't support the group because they have to move every winter and move from the plains up into the mountains. If you can't pull the sled, you're left behind. And in their culture, that's just. Today we carry them, we push them, we pay people to do it. It's not so far ahead that might stop. So please start working on yourself. This isn't a threat. It's just the truth. So, I am celebrating. This has really been a bummer, this COVID. And February was our 10-year anniversary, and we had a whole bunch of plans, things to do to help people to be healthier and to get under care. And everything was kiboshed because of this lockdown. It's 72 days into this. But I'm going to read over my letter to my clients about this, about where we are at Dr. Tred's Slim Body Laser Spa. It's really wonderful what I've created there. I have to pinch myself every day of the success we've had and the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have been through our process. There's over 350 signed testimonials on the walls. And so if you're looking for help, if you can't lose that weight, if you have excessive weight gain, you're more than welcome to come in. Free consultation. You sit down with me. I will tell you the truth. That's the best I can do. So here it is. Hey, everybody. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. In only 10 years, we have successfully treated over 6,000 clients. Who would have ever thought when I began as Stuart Laser Spa in an extra room in my chiropractic office off of Monterey that it would grow into such success and I would change so many people's lives with safe, effective, laser-assisted weight loss, laser body sculpting, spot fat reduction, nutritional consultation, detoxification, and whole body vibration. Nobody's doing this, by the way. The Cool Sculpting is not doing this. Sculpture, Safe Sculpt, plastics, nobody's doing what I'm doing. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to tell you all the incredible things that are going on at Slim Body Laser Spa. First off, I had a name change. I had to better reflect our image and our brand, and that's why we are now called Dr. Tred's Slim Body Laser Spa. Here's a history on our lasers. In 10 years, we have upgraded 3 different times with the best possible low-level lasers available. In 2010, when I first opened, the first machine we used was called the Lapex BCS. It was a 2-paddle machine that had 16 laser diodes. The treatment time was 50 minutes. We were limited to only one area per 50 minutes. The results were good, but to offer additional areas required extra weeks of sessions. In 2012, I was offered by the manufacturer an upgrade called the Lapex BCS Pro. The BCS Pro had 4 paddles with 32 diodes, which was double the energy and double the coverage in only 30 minutes. But in 2017, as technology advanced, our manufacturer had introduced a machine which has 8 paddles and 62 diodes, which increased the energy 3 times from the first machine in 2010, and we're also able to include 3 areas at the same 30-minute time frame, and that was only in 10 years. Our fee remains the same. Our fee has not increased since 2012. The cost for our laser plans has been the same. We are treating 3 areas in less time than our first machine over 10 years ago. So there's value in that. A BIA exam. We include at no additional charge a complete nutritional evaluation with me, including the use of a state-of-the-art machine called a body impedance analysis. It's called a BIA. The BIA in only 2 to 3 minutes gives a printout with target goals such as target weight, target body fat percentage, metabolic rate, which is how many calories you burn at rest, and total body water. I use this exam as the rationale, science, data, to consult, instruct, and help you to lose weight while you are enjoying the body sculpting provided by the low-level laser. No one is doing this in any weight loss center or body sculpting center like Cool Sculpting or Liposuction. They are not interested in helping you to lose weight, and they will not help you keep the weight off either. The lack of eating right and the possible lack of exercise created your obesity and these pockets of stubborn fat. To simply treat the areas without giving a client a nutritional plan to help them to lose weight, in my opinion, would be wrong action. Therefore, I take the time to teach you and get you started on better nutrition so you can manage your own weight when and if you leave. We don't want you to live there. We want you to leave. But I want you to go there with skills. At my Slim Body Laser Spa, you get the quick, oh my God, result that the laser offers, along with a sensible plan of action developed by me, the doctor, to get you started on losing weight and keeping the weight off. We do not sell months and months of supplements. We do not sell injections, and we do not sell auto-ship food. Those are the other places. At the Slim Body Spa, we offer a 3-inch loss money-back guarantee. Since opening in 2010, we've offered a 3-inch fat loss money-back guarantee. This means that in 9 sessions in 3 weeks, if you fail to lose at least 3 inches of fat, combining measurements from 3 areas, the lower ab, the middle abdomen, and the upper ab around your belly, and you were compliant, in other words, you followed the program, I will refund you the money you paid in full. What does compliance mean? That you don't miss visits without calling to reschedule. That you did not eat 2 hours before the laser or 2 hours after the laser. That you were able to use whole body vibration for 10 minutes or by sitting and placing your feet on the plate following the laser, and you were willing to eat light and stop and drink more water if dehydrated in the 3 weeks. Moderate alcohol is okay if not too much. Better to stop all the way, but for many of us, this is not just something we don't want to do. A glass of wine each day is not a deal breaker. We also offer Alumni VIP Pricing. If after 9 sessions you complete the plan, you can be eligible to become an alumnus. Alumni Pricing is a 66% discount compared to the initial 9-session pricing on all future laser sessions, as long as we are open forever. Alumni Pricing is mostly used for people who need more than 9 sessions to achieve their body reduction and or weight loss goals. Or maybe they fell off a bit and need some more sessions several months later. Some just like to stay active with the laser since they have found that regular weekly or every other week laser sessions helps to keep them on track with their nutrition and the usage of whole body vibration, and they get that relaxing day at the spa feeling. Today, our alumni program is the #1 source of recurring income, and over 60% of our clients who complete their 9-session plan take advantage of our alumni program. Detoxification. It is a fact that we are being exposed to toxins daily in our modern daily world. Humans discovered oil only 165 years ago, and we have put it into everything, and we've used it for everything from plastics to gasoline, which fuels our cars, trucks, boats, and planes. This gasoline produces exhaust, smog, and even the clothing we wear are made from petroleum products, rayon, nylon. The softening ingredients in food coloring, fragrances, cosmetics, paints, road tar. In other words, we are being slowly poisoned daily just by breathing and living in today's world. We cannot avoid all these toxins since they are so everywhere, ubiquitous. The amount of body fat many of us are carrying is directly proportional to how much toxin you have been exposed in your life. Some are exposed to more toxins than others. City dwellers get more toxin than the ones who live outside. People who work in agriculture are exposed to lots of chemicals used in agriculture. So our solution is simple and amazingly effective. During our 3-week program, you are given a very gentle supplement called Detox 2. They are 1 capsule taken in the morning and 1 in the evening. They are gentle herbs, which are considered blood purifiers. These are food quality herbs that will absorb some of these toxins as you receive the laser session and use the whole body vibration. Each day, some of these toxins are disrupted by our process, pushed out of the fatty tissue. These supplements bind with toxins, carry them out through the urine. It is safe, effective, and does not cause any bowel discomfort. This is not a colon cleanse and will not make you poopy. These supplements work, and most clients in 1 to 2 weeks feel brighter, more energetic, sleep better, and begin to lose weight faster than they ever have since toxins are reduced. We also use whole body vibration. When I purchased my first laser lipo machine, it had a whole body vibration machine that came with it. I had no idea what it was or how it worked. The manufacturer said that after applying the laser to the subcutaneous fat that a client needed to burn the calories, and that's why they used the machine. I now have my own machine called Dr. Tred's Body Vibe Home Exercise Machines. My machines can be purchased on Amazon or through my Shopify account at drtredsbodyvibe.com. Of course, you can always come into the spa, try it out, and buy one at the spa also. So that's what we're doing, and as a result of the COVID lockdown, 72 days, and the fact that many people might not want to come into the spa, I have decided to develop a home package lipo plan. This is incredible. Okay? Step 1, 20 minutes with Dr. Tred's Home Smart Lipo every other day. 10 to 20 minutes with Dr. Tred's Body Vibe, a healthy lifestyle, high-protein, low-carb diet. You can buy a home package from my office called Dr. Tred's Home Smart Lipo Unit Amazing Red Light Therapy. My package includes 1 Home Smart Lipo unit, 1 Dr. Tred's Body Vibe, which is what we do at the office, a 30-minute one-on-one Skype with me, forms, directions, worksheets, self-locking tape measure, detox supplements, and free shipping. The package is $3,000 and it's being sold at a deal for $24.90. If you'd like more information about it, give us a call, send us an email. I will send you the information. Hey, I'm also there for free consultations. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. I know it was a little stern, but hey, sometimes you have to let people know the truth, and I really believe in what I do. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. God bless.